Reports from beyond the stars. Captain Johanna Lake reporting in. She says, snapping a salute for all the cameras and representatives to see. She had finally arrived. Faster than expected, too. The maintained momentum from the axiom lanes had cut the trip nearly in half from the edge of cruel space to Earth, which was something of a relief. The low gravity of the rotational sections of the Lant 03, rename pending, had been frustrating to deal with. She felt as if she were 200 pounds overweight in normal gravity, but that was something she could easily deal with and had in fact enjoyed her first rather brutal exercise session in full gravity after months in low gravity. Her crew were all dealing with things in their own way when their home nations had recalled them for debriefing. They had given the prepared reports and massive information dumps, and now it was her job to answer lingering questions, which she very much believed would be unending circles easily summarized as yes, we're serious. The galaxy is really like that. No, this is not a prank. No, someone has not slipped you pornography. She had spent much of her free moments on the trip back preparing for this. All of you have had time to read the information dockets, study the sheer amount of documents and information we've recovered, and the numerous notes and remarks from the intelligence division of the Dauntless and its field agents out among the galaxy. I am more than happy to clarify the enormous number of questions you no doubt have. Unfortunately, my own dealings with alien life and civilizations is limited, so there will be gaps in my knowledge. Captain Lake says to the assembly, and there is a massive wave of questions nearly concussive in its force, as everyone wants to ask questions and those that can't be heard over the din attempt to shout and then to be heard shout all the harder. Captain Lake steps back from the podium and waits patiently for everyone to tire themselves out. If we're done shouting, perhaps we could have inquiries in a more organized manner. I understand there is a great deal of excitement, but do understand that many of those around you will have similar questions, if not the same ones. So please, be patient. Captain Lake says calmly, and there's some deliberation among the representatives. After a short while, Representative Engel from Germany stands up. I apologize for jumping ahead. However, my nephew is one of the soldiers assigned to the Dauntless Drake Engel. I am concerned with many of the things raised in this report, and am curious as to how the men and women we have sent out are dealing with the oddities and absurdities of the galaxy at large. Representative Engel, not only am I personally aware of what your nephew has been up to, but he is the envy of many men on the Dauntless. He, along with 9 others, have been hand-selected for a special mission that has granted him and the team he is part of control of a captured alien vessel that has been christened the Chainbreaker. They and he have obtained a bounty hunting license and have been making a fierce reputation for bringing in even the most dangerous targets in alive and ready for processing. The sheer competence and skill they've displayed on the field, coupled with a refusal to take bonuses, has caused them to become figures more akin to a folktale or legend on the galactic scene. Really? Representative Engel states. There was so much information to sift through I wasn't able to find much about him. I understand. We have brought back entire libraries worth of information. Translating it all from galactic trade will take a lot of skilled linguists a long time. I don't blame you for struggling to find your nephew in the mess, Captain Lake says genially. Although the subject of the bounty hunters does bring us rather close to the interesting topic of another expansion of human influence throughout the galaxy, namely the EFL or Earth Foreign Legion. Numerous times when the Dauntless was set upon by pirates, many of the ships in question were quickly captured, and their crews and captains subverted to our cause. As a result, we have begun building a fleet that has numerous hardened criminals, all but eating out of the hands of our soldiers, and no less than 2 major space stations openly declaring themselves as allies of humanity. I think that's quite enough. The representative for China, Wu Xin protests, standing up. The amount of information is not in question, nor is its consistency. What is in question is the blatant and childish vandalism to the information dockets. The pornographic images laced in among the documents speaks of outright vandalism and is a direct insult. I'm afraid the images were quite realistic and accurate, Captain Lake says. Do you think me an idiot? Pages after pages of women of absurd sizes wearing disgusting fetish outfits. Or perhaps you want me to believe that it is galactic sport to smuggle flesh-colored volleyballs while wearing the outfit of a prostitute. Jin demands, almost spitting in disgust and holding up an image of Captain Agenda Lilpaw. Is this what we spent our money on? To satisfy some sick wretch's sexual deviancy? No. That particular image is of Captain Agenda Lilpaw, one of the main figures in the EFL. It is an unfortunate truth. The truth that the rest of the galaxy, and likely universe, does not adhere to our sensibilities or standards, the laws of physics, of morality, of decency, and even common sense are utterly foreign to us outside our protective bubble known to the rest of the galaxy as cruel space. You see that image and find yourself staring down a deviant's wet dream, whereas in the wider galaxy that is the image of a hardened criminal that has been recruited into a legal militia. That is absurd, Shin states flatly. It becomes much less so when you remember that the rest of the galaxy operates under different laws of physics. Life evolved differently outside of this little part of the galaxy. This has resulted in a synchronization of all races so pervasive that it has effectively reached us here in cruel space as well. These peoples do not resemble us. We resemble them. These races casually trace their history further back than any nation on Earth, with steady nations as old as 5,000 years of age being considered young on the galactic stage. Walk us through it, Captain Lake. Explain how this absurdity happens. The representative of Russia states calmly to try and keep everything on track. You want me to crack open the field of xenobiology in a pithy summation. You want an entire scientific discipline and field of study in a few simple words. As best as you are able, fine. Simply put, it's all about the axiom, the field of physics we don't have access to here. This omnipresent energy field allows absurd leaps in evolution and technological advancement. It also has far-reaching ripple-like effects that connect all things together in some way or another. The aliens are primarily female because males take more energy biologically to produce, and with axiom enhancing any being that cares to try it means that there is no specialized role for hunters or warriors. A woman alien can be just as strong as a larger male alien, and so with the biological requirements laxed in such a way, less men are born. This effect grows as the most successful huntresses and warrior women are the ones who breed the most readily, and the need for men becomes relegated to breeding alone, and a single male is all that is needed to keep a substantial population constantly pregnant. That explains nothing as to why they look so obscene, Sin protests. I was getting to that. I only have so much air in my lungs, Representative Wu. The reason for their obscene appearance evolves from this state where there are so few men needed. The numbers go down and the demand perversely goes up. With the practicalities of physical shape being a non-issue with the aid of the energy field, females who are better at birthing and wielding axiom become the preferable mates. And so, displays of such traits get bred in more and selected more and more. Continue it for thousands of generations, and you have a society of obscene space harlots. Really? Shin asks with a disgusted look on his face. Yes, however, there are upsides to this crazy galaxy. First is the fact that humans are very much welcome due to the scarcity of men. We are constantly underestimated, and due to the axiom allowing jumps in technology and biology, uniquely capable in many fields. one of which is poison use and resistance. Poisons are somewhat of a rarity in the galaxy, and our own ability to digest toxins is so high that the standard human meal is considered both inedible and unpalatable. They have little to no defense short of power armor or tank armor to resist our weapons, and that's putting aside the shenanigans that several of our soldiers have been able to accomplish while studying this new branch of physics. Captain Lake has everyone's attention as she takes a drink of water to try and soothe her parched throat. During a political gambit gone wrong, one of our soldiers, one Herbert Jameson, was temporarily abducted. He awoke in a terrifying situation and, in his escape, hurled himself from a window of a high-rise apartment complex. At this point, he used his small amount of training in the Axiom arts to survive his landing from over a kilometer up and onto solid concrete without safety equipment. That alone is impressive enough. It becomes even more so when you learn that the only reason he was injured at all is that he bounced and the first impact stunned him to such a degree he was unable to continue using the Axiom abilities. The second impact broke most of the bones in his body. The medical technology in the galaxy is so advanced that it took him less than a week to not only fully recover, but grow younger until he resembles his 14-year-old self. This is the same soldier. These people, despite their oddities, have casually cracked eternal life. They harvest and use so much wealth that an entire planet was gifted to Admiral Cistern for human use, and it was ultimately a tax loophole. Onriak 4 may not have a proper atmosphere or biosphere, but it's still an entire planet, one which many of the scientists on the Dauntless are working to correct. We've also been openly invited to colonize an otherwise uninhabited continent on the world of Brule, a hot jungle planet not too far from the edge of cruel space. Colonization rights are being secured? Zinn asks in shock, and Captain Lake nods. Yes. Unfortunately, the sheer size and population of the galaxy works both for and against us. There are a huge number of worlds just waiting to be claimed, but so many people looking to make those claims that it's effectively impossible to find some place outside cruel space that humans can have all to ourselves. However, we effectively have the run of the galaxy inside cruel space. A mere half percentile of the galaxy, Sin remarks, and Captain Lake outright laughs. What do you find so amusing about that? The Land Series starships are literally the fastest vehicles humans have ever produced. It still took 2 months to cross half the distance, and that was with an obscenely fast running start, as it were. If we were to colonize a new world every 10 years in our part of the galaxy, it would take millennia to go through it all. The galaxy is enormous on a truly mind-boggling scale. Having 0.5% of it, that's a display of wealth and power that literally no other race can match. What about defensively? Are we in danger from these aliens? Will there be an organized attack? The Russian representative asks. Defense-wise, we're in a perfect position. The aliens are fatally addicted to Axiom energy, something they cannot get in cruel space, hence its name. Their technology fails, their biology fails. The vast majority of their plans fail. The beacon that reached us only managed that due to being a very special project that took decades to accomplish. As for organized? No, the alien races are not truly organized. Oh, they have a face of one, but it's completely non-functional. An entire world with populations in the quadrillions is dedicated to administration along the galaxy, and not only is it simply not enough, but it is hopelessly corrupt and so rife with conspiracy that the men on shore routinely stumble into multiple plots without attempting to search for them. You're joking. I wish I was. On one of my own shore leaves, I introduced myself and was passed a data chick containing a plot to spike a popular fruit drink with chemicals designed to mimic the symptoms of a common disease out of season in order to discredit the most common supplier of relieving pharmaceuticals. I received this data chip because I happened to be wearing a red blouse and a tan skirt with running shoes at the time, and that was the agreed-upon look. Now, why they never questioned why I'm obviously and demonstrably not her Tret contact, I will never know, but it happened regardless. Tret? Shin asks. A species that is effectively what would have happened if humans evolved outside of cruel space. At a distance, we're physically identical to them. On closer scrutiny, the differences stand out enormously. For starters, they are incapable of sweating and match the rest of the galaxy for the absurd proportions in both population and physical stature. After that, they're lacking numerous internal organs such as the kidneys, adrenal glands, and their digestive system is massively simplified and not utilizing acids to break down their food. It's all quite strange. You appear to have developed a habit of answering in the very long form, Representative Ingal remarks. I'm here to answer questions. The more I speak, the more potential questions I head off.